What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about how a Batman fight in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League would work, and kind of just play it out in my head, talk about it with you guys, and of course, hear what you have to say in the comments below. I wanted to check this out because I was like, have I ever talked about Batman in this game before the Kevin Conroy thing, right before the Game Awards? And I actually did. I made a video a while ago talking about several, individual Justice League members, and I talked about, will you have to fight Batman in Suicide Squad? So I want to start there because I do think that is a question. I don't think it's like 100%. Like, yes, when you think of what we've seen so far of the Justice League, Flash, Superman, now Batman, yes, Wonder Woman, but she seems to at least start the game on your side. Maybe eventually she gets mind controlled and maybe you have to fight her towards the end. That wouldn't be, all that surprising because that is a theory that's out there. But, it's not 1,000% guaranteed that you fight them all. I imagine you will. And so I'm kind of playing devil's advocate. I do think you will fight Batman in I don't want to say 1v1 because remember, the game, no matter what, is always going to have 4 players. They've talked about this before, actually, when they first announced it. You're going to be one of them, and then the other 3 are either going to be online players that you're playing with. But if you don't have them, unlike Gotham Knights, if you don't have people playing as the rest of the Suicide Squad, the AI will play it for you or for the team, whatever you want to say. So no matter what, in all these boss fights and any just normal fight that you have in this game, you will be having, it'll be 4v whatever happens. So I do think you'll face the Flash 4v1. I think Superman will probably be the last, enemy, and I think Batman will be somewhere in the middle. Now, I do think there's more than just those 3, but the thing with Batman is, in terms of time period in the game, certainly does seem like Flash, then Batman, then something else, right? I imagine because they focus so heavily on Flash, he will be the first one that you end up having to battle. And then Batman, as the theories have been, floating around the internet, maybe he's there to kind of bring Flash back, right? In terms of like mind control him again, because he seemingly has broken out of it. So that is Batman's purpose. So Batman realistically will be the second, the second character, let's say, that you'll fight. And then I do believe you will actually fight him. Now, I've seen a lot of people, jokingly or maybe even not jokingly talk about how they can't wait to get, absolutely, throttled by Batman in this game because of how powerful, and that's something I do want to talk about, right? Because this game is in the Arkhamverse, that is a very, very powerful Batman. Now, it's a Batman that's gone through a lot, and we don't really know how long it's been since the last Arkham game, Arkham Knight. Seemingly, if we want to go based just off Penguin, it has been a while considering how much older. Now, yes, visuals have enhanced, right? But I do think he's aged. I think that's that was maybe even part of the point of showing him. I think this is going to be, an okay amount of time after the events of Arkham Knight. So Batman's a little bit older, but he's already gone through so much. So we are dealing with an incredibly powerful Batman. So I actually would say this isn't just a question with Batman as it is with the rest of the Justice League, and it is going to be a tough thing that I really can't wait to see how Rocksteady does it, because how do you pull off battling these not invincible, but very, very close to invincible people, right? We've talked about like a Superman game, or there's always been the talk of like, is a Superman game too hard to make? Well, one of the issues with, say, specifically a Superman game is, well, he's not really vulnerable to all that much stuff. Everything really should, I guess, be going in slow motion to him, half the time. The general point I'm making is he's so powerful. So how do you fully realize someone with that amount of power? How do you realize that in a game? And we're not necessarily asking that question here, but we are in parts, because how do you make the Flash? How do you make that battle? How do you make Batman that, I would say Batman would maybe be the easiest to figure out, considering he's not, insanely fast. He can't fly. I guess he can glide, but not technically, fly like, say, Superman, right? So at least he's more grounded, actually, I would say, in all regards, and even the Arkham games, he is a more grounded Batman, but he's also immensely powerful. He's got all these different abilities. He's got all these different gadgets. How do you actually fight someone like that? I would like, okay, and this is something that I don't really know how this would actually play out. I would like almost like a Predator map in the Arkham games where you play as Batman, but in reverse, where, well, I guess the same thing, only you're basically the enemies. Now, it's not perfect, and actually one of the main reasons it's not perfect is the very beginning of it. How do you start a fight against Batman? Well, we see in the trailer that like he very much seems like ready to roll, you know what I mean, in terms of going after the Suicide Squad. So in that case, it's almost just like he's on equal grounds. Is he just gonna rush up to you and, you know, flick his cape at you, stun you, and then start beating you up? Like I would like something where you're almost, and they are kind of hinting at it, where you're almost more in his domain. I'd like to see that almost for all of these, but specifically Batman, just because obviously you think so much of him in the Arkham games. Put us in a room that's got multiple levels, that's got like perch points where Batman can, like, you know, hang out, and he can take you out. He can, or not, I wouldn't say like a one hit, you know, elimination, but like you could have it where you're literally, maybe the room is very, very dark. He can see, you can't see, at least for parts of it. I'm not talking the entire fight. And if you walk under or over, because maybe like the flooring, you know, you can crawl in the flooring, right? If you walk, or the AI walks under or over one of these hot spots, Batman will do a takedown like situation on you and deal great amount of damage. I would love, personally, and I don't really know how you would do the rest of the fight, maybe literally just a, you know, a 4v1. The 4 thing definitely is like odd, and I don't know how they're going to do that with any of these, because if you're facing just Batman and you have yourself and 3 AIs or 3 humans, how are you going to have the one be able to even remotely, how do you even make it a challenge for that one, right? Maybe it actually works out because you need to make them extremely powerful. You need to make him be using all of his gadgets. But I would love, if nothing else, one part of his boss fight to be something where, I guess you have to do it where like everything's black, everything's dark. Because like you think about, again, reverse yourself, think about a Predator map where you're as Batman. It's not pitch black. I mean, you can see through walls and stuff, but you know, you're just higher than people or lower. They're not really paying attention. If you're versing humans, so now you're, say, Batman, but you're versing Suicide Squad that are actual human beings, they're not going to be that dumb, basically. So you're going to have to make it basically just complete darkness where Batman can see as an AI and you can't see, and then he can do large amounts of damage. I think that'd be sweet, because that would basically, again, put you as the enemies that we have taken out, hundreds of them in the Arkham games. You know, it would be a flip in that sense, only you're trying to win. So maybe you have to be careful with that, you know, during that time, and then the lights turn back on or something, and then you fight him 4v1. And again, that I'd imagine is when you'd see way more of the gadgets. I'd maybe even some sort of like counter. Maybe if you hit him at the wrong time, he counters you. Honestly, and again, this is why it's so tough. Like, it's a very, and I don't know how they're gonna do it with Superman, with Flash. I've always had these questions, but now that we know, right? We know Batman's in it. I mean, you got to imagine you fight him. Like, the difference between, not just, again, like the power level between Batman and the rest, even though Batman's pretty powerful, is that we've played him before. That specific one, we've played him multiple times by the studio making it. So how do you make us face him? And when we do face him, he needs to show all the power, all the abilities, all the gadgets, all that from the past games, and he needs to do that now on us, but then we also need to beat him. Now, I guess, and it's possible, maybe we'll have this discussion for a different video, we don't necessarily need to beat them. Now, there's a difference between killing them, right, and then, like, knocking them out. In fact, like we know with Flash, I'd imagine you fight him, obviously you don't take him out, let's say, permanently, and it just snaps him out of it, and then you're kind of transporting him from location to location. So, like, there's that talk that I don't think you'll actually, you know what, Batman. But then there's also the idea that because of Wonder Woman even, right? Maybe you literally can't beat some of them. Like, I'd imagine even Superman, maybe halfway through the game, say, you face him and you win. You know, like, he has a health bar and you eliminate his health bar. But the cutscene that plays after is not you beating him. It's actually him beating you. It's just a gameplay thing. It's just for fun. And then Wonder Woman has to kind of come in to save the day. And that's a case that I think many of you guys know from other games. Just because there's a boss doesn't, not necessarily, maybe it's like a 90% chance, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll take out the boss at the end of the, when the cutscene plays. It's possible you just beat it for the gameplay purposes, and then the game dictates what happens. I don't know what they do for Batman, right? Because will you actually take him out? Or 4 of the Suicide Squad, 4 of us as players, are we strong enough to take out that Batman? You may be enough to take him out in terms of like the health bar, but then the cutscene that plays after, what actually happens there? And I'm not actually sold on either or, so maybe we'll talk about that as we get closer. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know, how you would play out a fight sequence with Batman. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.